We'll start with you, Frank. In terms of the overall market for the year, it was off of a fairly low base for 2009 as we came out of the recession, but it was a good year for the industry.
Absolutely. We saw around about 16% growth overall in the market. But the really pleasing thing about it was, as you said earlier, the strengthening of the mix in the market towards the extra heavy end, where there was 32% growth. So yes, it was very, very promising, and it looks like it's a good base for going ahead from here.
Just over 15% for the regular heavies, and not so great for the medium commercials at 4.5%. But what do you think drove the market last year?
Well, I think that the Soccer World Cup had a great deal to do with the pattern in the market last year. And that, as what we saw in the early part of the year, was that the distribution type vehicles were advantaged by that situation. Obviously, fleets were getting ready for Soccer World Cup. But as the year progressed, things normalized, and in the second half of the year, the extra heavies came back with a real bang.
Now the extra heavies, Ian, particularly for you with the likes of Freightliner, is looking very, very good, isn't it?
It was a good year for us. I think, off the low base of 2009. I mean, most of the growth I think we saw was as a result of fleet replacement rather than fleet expansion, as it were.
Yeah, and Mercedes-Benz overall putting up a very good increase at the top of the log.
Very good. I mean, I think we came in at about overall about 28% in the entire market, and we had a good growth in the extra heavies, with the Fuso, Freightliner and Mercedes-Benz lumped together.
And your position as far as the market is concerned, I mean, are you forecasting quite a lot of growth for 2011?
I think we've taken a fairly conservative view. I think the market could probably grow to about 13 to 15%. So we're expecting numbers around about 25,000 plus.
Very good. Now, Frank, we spent a lot of time last year, of course, talking about some of the challenges facing the industry and, as you say, questioning whether the market was going to slow down after the World Cup. But it certainly hasn't. But we are facing quite a few challenges this year with regards to the new infrastructure and particularly things like the toll roads.
Absolutely, yes. Those will have a very significant direct impact on road transport. However, our view is a little bit more conservative than what Ian's is. We believe that a growth of around 10 to 11% is the more likely scenario for this year. But even so, coming off the base that was established at the end of 2010, that's still reasonably satisfactory for the industry, I believe.
I think NAMSA itself looking at an increase to around about 33,000 trucks for the year, Ian.
I'm not sure if it was so many. I thought it was rather around about 25 to 26,000. So I stand to be corrected, but maybe you're right.
And our export, I mean, our local manufacturing, of course, yes. Our local manufacturing and our export programs, they're looking healthy for this year?
I think so. I mean, the local manufacturing industry is a key component. It's very important for us, and particularly in terms of creating jobs and for South African economy and growing the economy.
Now we're also seeing quite a bit of the mergers taking place within the industry. We obviously saw MAN and Volkswagen last year, and now we're looking at the possibility of Scania being brought into the fold there properly, obviously with Volkswagen and Porsche being shareholders. And then there's the likes of Fiat talking about saying, well, if they want to sell off MAN and Scania, we'd like to buy it. Are we going to see quite a lot of cooperation going on this year, do you think?
I think a lot of that's to do with the overall strategies of the big groups within the industry, and we all know that Volkswagen has ambitions to be the world's #1 vehicle manufacturer by 2018. So I think a lot of what they will do will be informed by that strategy. But certainly it's not an easy environment to operate in. The costs of compliance with emissions, for example, is extremely high. I think when we move beyond Euro 5, for example, there's a lot of questions about how they will do that. It's not just a question now of getting involved with the fuel injection system or the exhaust systems of the vehicles. We're looking at getting into much more fundamental engineering to improve, which is very expensive. So certainly I think that will have a huge impact, and that will force manufacturers, I think, into bed with each other to an extent. But also I think the integration of the Chinese industry into the global industry is something that lies in the fairly not too distant future.
It's a very interesting point. Frank raises the issue of things like the emissions and all the rest of it. And we've seen some guys coming in and testing Euro 5 and putting in AdBlue into some of their trucks and all the rest of it. But from your point of view, are you seeing people coming to you saying, we want to be greener, we want to face the challenge of trying to get more environmentally friendly trucks on the roads?
No doubt. I think there's a lot of companies out there who are seeking to run and operate more greener transport solutions. I mean, the challenge for us, obviously, in South Africa is the fuel. And one is in a bit of a dilemma here in South Africa, where you are not able to bring in the latest technology. So you're trying to keep up with trends, but you almost having to reverse engineer at times in order to make sure that you can, bring product to the market, as it were.
We mentioned the fuel price, of course, which is going up this week. Fuel, the toll fees, emission taxes, all those sort of things, seriously going to affect the industry and be passed on to the consumer, one would expect this year. Yeah,
there's no way in which the operators can absorb all those costs. They do have to pass them on to their clients. There's no question about that. So, yes, I think, and also I think it's very important that that the authorities in South Africa also take a very broad view when they look at transport. There's been a lot of talk about moving freight back onto rail from road, and I don't think that's a practical possibility in the immediate future. So whatever you do to the road transport industry has a direct impact back onto what it costs you and I to live every week.